Okay, hello and welcome. We are thrilled to be joined today by Alex Fazel, the Chief Partner Officer of SwissBorg. Alex, welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us. We're really happy to have you on. The community is very happy to have you on. So, yeah, thank you, mate.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello to everyone out there. Insider joke.
Insider joke. When we communicate with Alex, he always says hello in a Scottish accent. So
it comes from the Uber taxi, right? Like, so
it started back, was that 2 years ago?
2 years
in
ago.
London, yeah, and it's not died down, which is great. But hello, wee laddie.
I love it. I love it. It's such a boring word.
Yeah.
Hello is such a common and boring word. It becomes all of a sudden so interesting.
100%. I was just
It comes to life.
before we started recording, whenever I say hello back home, I instantly think of Alex. So no matter who I'm speaking to, it could be my parents, whoever, I always think, you're logged up here. So,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a pleasure.
So for anyone who watches our content, you know that SwissBorg is, we always go on about SwissBorg. We've used them since 2020. That's the best app. I think everyone who's been in crypto a while knows that SwissBorg is the best app. So yeah, we're delighted to have Alex on today, and he's going to give us some behind the scenes of SwissBorg. He's going to tell us a bit about himself as well. So yeah, let's get straight in and get started. So first of all, Alex, can you give us a bit of background on yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to try to decredibilize myself in the first sentence by saying that I had neither a financial or technological background. So I worked mainly in sales my entire life, whether it's B2C, B2B, knocking on doors to cold calls. So I've been through all the craziest stuff. I just fell upon the startup world at an early age and failed with one of my startups, which, by the way, is a blessing in disguise. When you fail, you learn a lot more than when you win. And then the second startup was doing okay enough to pay for expenses and live a regular life. And then one day, my brother got me into crypto. Like, he fell in love with the whole Ethereum concept. He knew about Bitcoin, and this was in 2016. And he said, "Oh, come and join this world." And then all of a sudden, I was kind of just thrown into the world. And I think there's one thing that's really important, which is crypto is still such an early and new form of technology. So for those out there who want to educate themselves with you guys, it's never too late, right? We're still super early. I literally thought to myself, I wanted to refuse the job at SwissBorg because, when you don't have a financial nor technological background, you're like, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah, you feel like an outsider who's not welcomed, and
you feel like an outsider, and it's overwhelming. But my brother said, and Anthony as well, other co-founders said, this is still in such early stages. Just read, and you'll pick it up.
So when you say your brother, you mean Cyrus Fazel,
Yeah.
the proud founder
Yeah.
of SwissBorg. So yeah, you're Cyrus's brother, which is cool. People on the channel will know Cyrus. Cyrus shows up every week on Powwow, which is great. That's a big benefit of SwissBorg, that there is a face to SwissBorg. It's really transparent, and everyone can see and be updated on the progress of SwissBorg. So I think that's been a big positive for SwissBorg, that there's someone there to see and guide you through what's happening. Is negative things going on in the app, Cyrus is going to be there to tell you. Is there good things going on, he's going to be there to tell you. So I think that's a really good point about SwissBorg.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think like my brother's vision about being like community centric, that rather than being customer centric, right? So the idea he had originally was, what sucks about traditional corporations? Well, the CEO is always going to be in his own VIP room. He's never going to interact or meet the customers, right? If you're lucky to see Elon, well, obviously Elon Musk is too big of a figure, but even like smaller companies, you'll probably never mingle with the CEOs. So it's not just like breaking down the barriers within the company by having like super vertical companies and making them more horizontal, so that people, also employees, feel like they can talk to the right people, they're being heard. So that needs to be broken down. But then we have to create something where anything from funding the company to making decisions on the product to owning the token, he said everything should be open, right? It can't be just the investors who are always the same pool of people at the top and then the end user at the bottom. Everything needs to be open. And so he said that's the future of how companies will be no longer the old school corporations, but something that's completely open, not just internally, but also externally for the community. And that was his dream. And I have crazy stories. I'll give you one, not to go too long on this, but we had a really important board meeting in Lausanne. Our headquarters are based in Switzerland, as you know. And there was this fan who came in and, he was insisting on meeting my brother. He wanted to take a selfie. He wanted some free merch. So we're like literally in an important meeting and we're about to make a vote. And then someone comes in, oh, Cyrus, so sorry for interrupting, but, someone really wants to see you. He says he needs to catch a flight. He's only in town for X amount of time. Hey, and he looks at us like, all right, guys, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And he leaves like for 20 minutes. He was chatting with a guy and he gave him some merch. They took selfies together. So that's the type of, love that my brother tries to project, as you said, with the powwow and just with everything in life, right? Like just changing the way we see companies and the way we treat our customers, which I understand there will always be customers. Some people don't want to be a part of a community, but at least give it the chance for people to be more involved.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's like PLP, peace, love, and positivity.
Yeah.
It just works. It's something that we actually use a lot. We, throughout the Bear of the Bill, no matter what, we'll be there. And it's almost it's similar where we have the power every week. We'll show up every week, every day, whatever it may be, because people need that.
Yeah.
Like you say, there will always be customers or clients, but the true OGs, the real ones who are in the community, active in the community, they love to hear from you, whether it's good, bad, ugly. We will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I feel Cyrus plays that same game. And everyone at SwissBorg plays the same game where it's, here's the news, like it or not, this is what's going on. So a lot of similarities, I feel like. And it's why we resonate so much with SwissBorg as well, I feel, because there's so many similarities with the passion.
Definitely. Transparency. Honesty. It goes a long way. You build a community over time and you keep a community over time as well. The same SwissBorg and Crypto Glasgow. So yeah, I think we're pretty similar. But before we get into SwissBorg, let's acknowledge the fact that Bitcoin right now is 57,000.
It's crazy.
What's your thoughts on Bitcoin's price action right now?
It's amazing. Like the markup stages, I think are going to be much longer. So like I tell you, remember we had the event the other night, and I always say, like, listen, there's 4 seasons and you have market cycles, just like there are 4 seasons across, like from winter to spring to summer to fall or autumn. And I think we're obviously in summer, the beginnings of the summer. So I'm really excited to see what's coming up. And just for those out there, remember that the euphoria stages come very quickly, but they end also quite quickly. So we need to be prepared to take profits. And
something that we're quite heavy on. That little reminder goes a long way. Whether people keep that reminder and they understand it at the time, because look, you live in the moment sometimes in crypto, the euphoria does, the greed takes over, euphoria takes over. But yeah, we're big on the mindset of, keep it level. Yes, it's tough. Yes, you're going to be feeling amazing overnight, but it comes down just as quick, if not quicker.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous place to be, but it's exciting nonetheless. So
yeah,
we're buzzing for it.
It is. So yeah, let's get into some
SwissBorg.
We have a list of questions from members. So members of the community, we asked, what questions do you want us to ask Alex? So first question we've got here is, it'll take you back, let's say. Where did the idea for SwissBorg come around? Was it working with other projects, or did you see a gap in the market? Where was SwissBorg born as such?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Like, my brother and Anthony were seeing that there were more and more like exchanges, and we obviously saw Binance that kicked off. Maybe they did their ICO, I believe it was in April or May of 2017, sorry. And then we finished our ICO end of 2017, early 2018.
So when was the idea? 2016?
Oh, yes. So 2016. Okay, so going even further back. So at the time, I think actually only Coinbase and a few of the major exchanges. It was even before Binance. But my brother was thinking we would love to bring some sort of wealth management into crypto space. And what does wealth management mean? It's, in his definition, it's like finding ways that provide minimum effort. So trying to find ways to automate things, to make things easier for people so that we can bring in the masses and, kind of like solve this whole the first slides we had was talking about the wealth gap and how it was just growing and growing and growing over time, and which, by the way, during the pandemic just got 10 times worse. So, and you can see it in Europe, right? We were just talking about London the other day, people getting stabbed. The south of France, where we lived, 12 years of our lives, that people are getting knifed, right? So the wealth gap is a big freaking problem, right? Because that's what creates crime. Like, for example, in Japan, the middle class is really, really large relative to the high net worth, ultra high net worth, or the poor. So by having a very wide, like a middle class, crime, and these stats are not just across Japan, you can see it almost across every country with large middle class, crime rates are super low.
There's no need for crime.
There's no need for crime. Yeah. People are not jealous, they don't feel like, I'm struggling to, meet, ends at every month. And
I seen a study recently about that where it came from America, where there is no middle class now. So it's literally upper class, lower class. There's no in between. And it's causing the more crime because people are just pissed at the higher and the lower. So it makes complete sense.
Desperation.
Yeah.
So that was, the idea was in 2016, and then it became, let's make an app.
Yeah.
First kind of stage.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think he literally, in the first white paper, which, by the way, I come to notice that all startups do this. They promise so many things, and they want to change the entire world when you realize you need to start very small and do one thing well and then move to the next. And anyways, those are the hardships of being an entrepreneur, right? But he was talking about having some sort of index, which is kind of like the thematics we have today, because we didn't have those products, and kind of like these things that are just easier for the masses. And by the way, I forgot to mention, his idea came from a real problem, which was when he was working at Sequoia, Julius Baer, private banking, wealth management, algorithmic trading, and he was from TradFi, right? And in Switzerland, don't quote the exact amount, but I believe you need $2 million in net worth outside of real estate in order to be eligible to invest in some of these sophisticated financial products. And he didn't like that, right? If a guy comes over, he says, but I only have $500K. But look, if I sold my house, that would maybe get me close to the $2 million mark. And they had to reject people who wouldn't qualify, regardless of their intent. So you're judging person based on their wealth, but not based on their character or integrity or their intentions and purpose, right? So he didn't like that, obviously, because there's some people with wealth who can be real CUNTSs, right? And there's some people with less wealth that are amazing people, that you want to serve, right?
Yeah. Which we see now in the SwissBorg app with the likes of the alpha deals, where it's given people who maybe don't have a huge net worth, it's given them the opportunity to invest in these products. So it's cool to see that idea 8-9 years ago. You're starting to see it being implemented and rolled out now on the app. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and our CTO said something really cool, by the way. He was talking about how the boomers had the creation of the stock market, and that generated tons of wealth for the people who you still had to go through the banks back in the day. And then, later on, let's say the Gen X had real estate, and now we have crypto. Right? So there's always some sort of chance, right, where you can make significant wealth. And I think we're very blessed that the retail now can access what is the most asymmetrical asset class or sector out there. Yeah.
So the idea was basically made in 2016. When did you get involved? Were you late to the party? Was this Cyrus's own project? Well, Cyrus and Anthony, was it their project, and then they got you on board? Is that how it worked?
Yeah. So my brother was, I was in Japan at the time.
Right.
And Japan was one of those countries that moved very fast regulatory-wise. So you could actually spend your Bitcoin at some of the most famous electronic shops in Japan, for example, one called Big Camera. You could buy up to, $1,000 or $2,000 of a TV in Bitcoin.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Way back, yeah. So 2017, they were super advanced. They embraced it, but later on they stalled. So they maybe moved too fast. And because there's huge movement, I think JP, other than the US dollar, the Japanese yen was the biggest currency in terms of trading volume to buy Bitcoin. So my brother's like, oh man, like these Japanese guys are really into Web3, blah, blah. So can you help us with the fundraising? And so that's how I came in. I happened to be at the right place at the right time and know the right person.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool to see. So second on the list then we've got, where do you see SwissBorg and its own cryptocurrency in the markets over the next 5-10 years? Will it become a mainstay in the market? That is a question from a community member.
Yeah, for sure. Should we start with the main market or specifically the Borg?
Yeah. SwissBorg, the app and the cryptocurrency, the token.
Yeah, so in terms of the app, like the crazy thing about crypto is everything comes overnight, right? It's literally, we're talking about it earlier. You usually have a span of 6 to 9 months, where those 6 to 9 months you'll generate the next revenues for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? So it really comes overnight. It's just so fast. And we see it like, today and yesterday is intense, right?
Yeah.
20% gains, like almost overnight, which is more than what you'd earn in the stock market in 2 years, right? You'd earn 8% on the stock market, maybe 8 to 10. So that's 2 years in a single night. That just shows how intense it is. And because it's so intense, in the last market, I think we went from like somewhere around 100K users to 300K users almost within 3 months. Wow. It was like so intense. It was so intense that at one point, my brother and myself and Anthony and all the original founding members team had to learn how to do KYC.
Wow.
Wow. So we had this emergency meeting when the entire company, so we had like 100 people at the time, 120 people. We went through KYC training, and we were literally like seated next to each other at 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking our coffee and tea, like, oh, Chris, our chief compliance officer at the time, do I approve this or do I reject?
Wow.
Yeah, it's really intense, man.
Really, that's amazing to share as well. Thanks for sharing that, because no one would ever think that you have potentially approved someone's KYC.
Yes.
That is nuts.
You find that at all the big companies when they start, it's like they're all in. Well, that would happen at Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
Exactly. Think of
the garage working.
Think of us. Yeah. We're small scale compared to SwissBorg, but
we were doing
all the jobs because you have to do it.
But
that's incredible.
I think that, so like this question is saying like in terms of longevity, but I've got a thing on that. So years ago in 2020, when I could become a Genesis member of SwissBorg, so become a premium member, I would have to lock up a certain amount of tokens to become a premium member. And me and Don had a chat and we were saying, it makes sense to get this account. The reason being, I don't ever expect a time where I won't use SwissBorg. It's a wealth management app. I need to manage my wealth for the rest of my life. Why would I ever stop using that? So for me personally, it's like, I don't see a time when I'll stop using the app. So yeah, this question is basically, how long will the crypto cycles go? Because there is no reason to stop using the app.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Why would you stop? There is no reason. If your wealth is managed in the one place, you've got pounds in there, dollars, euros, gold, cryptocurrency, and you can liquidate it instantly into a bank account.
Yeah,
there is no reason to stop that.
Yeah.
So that's for me as a SwissBorg investor and user, that's one of the best things that I see. It's like the product is so good. It's like iPhone. Why would you stop using iPhone?
Yeah,
there needs to be a massive intervention to stop you using that. That's the way I see SwissBorg. There's no reason to stop.
No, I agree. And you've also got other products that come off of just the app.
Yeah.
Alpha being the newest and greatest, I guess. But back 2020, we had the yield. We had, so there's always been something. So no, I totally agree. It's like, why would you use something that's a great product that has great products off of?
It's like getting Wi-Fi. You get Wi-Fi. You don't just stop using Wi-Fi. It's like you need to use it. It becomes a part of your life. Because rather than holding money in a bank account, you just hold it in your wealth app, and then you can liquidate into your bank account. So,
and I think that's a fair point, because like in terms of the actual stats, right, the retention of people that we have in the premiums are super, super high. There's like, whenever someone becomes premium, I think there's less than over the course of 2 years, there's less than a 10% drop off.
Wow.
So if we go right now, we have, we're going to hit maybe 800,000 KYC users. If we go from 800,000 to 2 million users by the end of this cycle, you can imagine that, if we already have 25% of all supply locked up and premiums, hitting half of all tokens gone from the market by the end of the cycle is not impossible.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's true what you're saying, like most premiums, they never leave because it's a membership where you can actually sell your membership later.
Yeah.
So you're using a service, right?
Yeah, we spoke about
and you can sell it later.
Yeah, it just, because at one point our Genesis was worth this amount, we paid this amount, but for us it's more than that. The value of, whatever the value of that is doesn't matter too much because the benefits you get of being part of that group, almost that membership tier, is better than the value. But yeah, you can sell it.
You can sell it. Yeah, if you really want to.
So it's like if you use, say, American Express, you need to pay them a yearly membership fee. You can then sell that membership fee.
Exactly.
It's gone.
It's gone.
So that's a cool way it's been done. So, yeah. So, in short, where do you see SwissBorg in the next 10 years? Do you see it being the number one app? It's already the number... Is it statistically the number one app in Europe now? Statistically?
I think so. I think depending on the metric, if we're looking at retention and monthly active users. So for us, the way to measure the best exchange in the app is retention. Yeah. And the reason being is you may be really good at acquiring users, but can you really keep them, right? Is the question. And for example, there's some exchanges, they're just going to have hundreds of IDOs, maybe an IDO every single day. People come. And they're all garbage IDOs. People come because, they want the adrenaline, the dopamine of saying, oh, am I going to lose all my money or am I going to do a 20x, right? So there are those people who can acquire a lot of users. But I think the best metric is retention. And taking out of, if you take the total amount of users and then you take the percentage of people you retain, we have... on a monthly active user basis, we have roughly 50% active users, which is really high. The average exchange is 10%. So that is the sticky factor is what makes us think, oh, we're doing things right. We're not really good on the acquisition side. And I think that's all just regionally, us in Europe, we're the laggards, right? Yeah, we're the latest in terms of adoption.
I think most of the acquiring is done through word of mouth, through family members telling other family members, I use this app, it's really good. Yeah. I think that's a good way to grow as well because it's all organic. Yeah. But I do think that a good marketing push would be good because if you onboard someone to the SwissBorg app, they don't leave. Yeah. So I think marketing to try and get new users on board would be good. If the likes of Binance, if they do a big marketing push to get new users on, most people will download the app and be like, what is this? I don't know how to use this. But SwissBorg, if you get them on the app, that's the hard part. Once they're on the app, they don't leave because it's so easy and smooth. Yeah. So
I think you're absolutely right. I think to really grow and help, for example, the Borg token, right? Reach, let's say, top 100 by market cap, and eventually the ultimate goal is to be in the top 50. You need an offensive and defensive strategy. And the offensive, if we think about football, right, is, as you said, having really good marketing strategies, working with the best educators in the game is really important. But also the defensive strategy, as in, maintain your licenses, maintain your fiat gateways. Because as others consolidate and they cannot keep up with the regulators' requests, the defensive strategy, I think, will be a blessing in disguise. As you guys know, GBP gateways-wise, there's almost no one left. So I think a combination of offense and defense is great play to grow this.
Play the long game.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it is. So, right, next on the list, we've got a question about the SwissBorg app. So, some people have been asking about kind of lower cap coins on the app. Sometimes the liquidity isn't there because SwissBorg basically outsources its liquidity. It gets it from different exchanges. So, the question is, will the liquidity for those smaller coins in the market, will that liquidity get better over time? Is SwissBorg planning to add new liquidity providers to that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So usually what we do is we have this DIY team and that manages all listings and all that stuff. What they do is we have direct channels, and they'll be like, hey, there's a lack of liquidity on this coin. So you remember when you guys execute, you say it says the market is good, or you have these little warnings, right? And so when the liquidity is too low, then what we'll do is we'll reach out and say, hey guys, if you can't bring up the liquidity for this coin, we're going to have to reduce the size. Because one thing that I think is maybe very useful for the viewers out there is liquidity is absolutely king, as we say, right? And the reason why that's such a common concept is because most people will look at fees thinking that that's what you're paying. But actually the spread and slippage is where you will pay the most money.
That's
because of the liquidity issues, right? Like you can literally, like, for example, SwissBorg, we decided to be 100% transparent. So as in, there's no hidden fees. Our technology will only execute at the best price. And if there's too much slippage, it won't execute. You guys know the market conditions are poor, and it'll block you out. You have that little like red banner, right? Saying we're not going to execute because we want to protect you from the slippage. But other exchanges don't care, right? They're making money, and they will not tell you about slippage and spreads. And so you may execute on an exchange, which, by the way, when you see the price, they'll slap the fees on afterwards. But in the SwissBorg app, when you see the fee, that is commission included. So already when you're comparing fees in real time, that is commission included with SwissBorg. Other exchanges will slap on that fee afterwards, right? And who's going to really check? Who's going to download the CSV and look, I execute at this time, how much was the fee? It's very hard to read. And that's how Wall Street, corrupted the entire industry, right? They take your money to the brokerage, and they're going to do lots of trades to make tons of fees, and then they're going to send you a report with not being transparent on how they're using your fees to generate wealth. And that's how, that's the foundation of the scam of Wall Street and TradFi, is not being transparent. But because people don't have time to research slippage and spread, which can go from, it's going to be, for most exchanges besides BTC or ETH on Binance, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, can go all the way up to 5, 6, 7, 8% slippage. People will not see it. And so Anthony's his idea was like, I want to be fully transparent. I'm going to give that top right corner dashboard thing. You see everything fully transparent, but it has its pros and cons. People seeing that, then they think, oh, SwissBorg, you guys are so expensive. And I'm like, no. Go execute like on any other app at the same time. Compare, how much you got, how many Bitcoins you got, or how many like AVAX coins you got, and then calculate, and you'll see that, it's not about fees. It's spread and slippage is the ultimate thing you need to dive into to really understand how much you're paying.
It's crazy how being so transparent can play against you sometimes.
Yeah, it plays against you.
No one trusts you. Yeah. It's so interesting. But yeah, it makes a good point, and most people watching this won't have ever thought about that. But you've now started something, because I'm sure people will now, in the community especially, will be checking that out more, because it's like the silent killer. It's like inflation. No one really thinks about it. They produce some reports on it. They're not always as right as what they should be. People don't know enough about it. So that's a good point. I'm glad you shared that.
Thank you so much.
So next on the list, we've got the SwissBorg roadmap. So the community want to know, how is the SwissBorg roadmap coming along? We know that Cyrus and Anthony are working on it now. Should we be expecting it to be published soon? Because we know there was a previous SwissBorg roadmap and the boxes were ticked. There is a new roadmap. Should we be expecting it soon?
Yeah, absolutely. The next roadmap is going to be fully on the Borg token. So it's going to be an entire roadmap, and how we want to see things, how are we playing the utilities in-app, and how are we extending them outside the app. So that's going to be, we're working on it. I'm also working on one section on the in-app changes. And I think, for us right now in the short term, it's really to focus on alpha, as you guys know, because, 3 altcoin cycles later, right, what we've understood, and thanks to many mistakes, by the way, lost a lot of money, burnt a lot of money, understanding how primary markets and early stage VC deals work. But now we really freaking got it down to the T. Like, we know the math. We know the qualitative side, which most people, you guys, if you talk to a project, you know that they're good. But the qualitative side needs the quantitative side, because you can invest in some of the best projects, but if your timing is off, if the vesting terms are off, you'll lose money, which is crazy, right? When you think about it, it's like, and then on the flip side, you're going to invest into a decent project, not great, but the vesting terms are really good and the timing is on point. And you're going to make so much money, which is so weird because it goes against your thoughts. You're like, but wait a minute, these guys, these co-founders are killers. Like they're beasts, right? I would put my money on them all day. But unfortunately, the qualitative side needs to be accompanied with quantitative side. And so what we do now on the alpha side, if you hold, Borg tokens, and if you're a part of this movement and you want to take more risk, we look at, of course, the projects, we look at the valuation, but then we also look at when are they going to list, and I'll explain why. Like, when are they going to list? When is TG? Is there going to be a TG percentage release so that you can start getting back your initial? What is the total vesting times to receive all your tokens? And does that match the current cycle, right? So these are really important metrics, right? And so that's what we negotiate on behalf of the community, because we know that there may be a sexy project with the right sector, a deep in AI, all these bubble sectors, right? That may look really good on paper on the website, but when you see the terms, you're like, shoot, if the market crashes,
you're going to miss the market.
You're going to miss the market. Yeah.
Such a
The
good
majority of my tokens will be received during the next bear cycle. And therefore, everything is going to crash again, 60, 70, 80, 90%, depending on the sector.
Yeah. No, that's super important. As much as early round investments are some of the greatest investments you'll make in crypto, timing could be off.
Yes.
So, yeah, fair. Very fair point.
And timing is so important. Conor McGregor, he says, my timing will beat speed. He says, my timing and speed will beat power. You know how he says that? Yeah. Which works for the markets as well.
Over, yeah.
Timing and speed.
Yeah, so, right, that's perfect. The next one on the list we've got is about Series A. So SwissBorg did its own funding round, essentially, where the community, again, like Cyrus's vision way back when, was giving people the opportunity that is only usually kept for VC. So the community was given a chance to invest in SwissBorg, the company itself, with Series A. So, yeah, the community's asking, is there going to be a roadmap on that, or is there any update on that? Is there any updates that we can...
Yeah. So I can't give specifics, but I can tell you guys that right now, the way we measure valuation, right, in the private equity space, it's roughly, it depends on the appetite, obviously, but it would be roughly anywhere between a 10 to 15 times annual revenues multiplier. So let's say if this year we generate $45 million, or let's just say 50 million to make it easy to understand, then with a $50 million revenues, the valuation will be anywhere between $500 to $700 million. And because like in crypto, I think there's real scarcity. There are very few projects that, people in Switzerland, what are they going to invest in on private equity side? If they want crypto exposure, who's in Switzerland besides us, right? Or even in France, there's maybe one or two exchanges, but they're tiny relative to us. So there are not many options, which may help us on the valuation side. And I think right now with the ETFs, right, like we're getting inquiries, actually, some of the traditional Swiss banks, not saying that they want to invest, but they're just curious, are you doing fundraising? We're being asked more and more questions, because I think the old dogs, right, are starting to realize like, oh, this phenomenon is not just speculative, it's real, yeah. So, I mean, I can't say anything, but I'm hoping that already people from Series A already get like a 2 to hopefully for lucky 3 times multiplier by this, not financial or guaranteed advice, or suggestions. But I think that this time we definitely want to do Series B during the bull cycle, so that we can, already give some gains to the people invested and equity. And then, Series C, maybe, and maybe a few years after that, right? But to me, like ultimately, whether we do an IPO or whether we're bought out by someone else, I don't really know what the future holds before us. But I do think that at one point, my brother and I and Anthony, we will have to find, new fresh leaders, to take the company to the next level. It's just the passing of the baton, right? So maybe, I don't know, by Series C, maybe by then, or I don't know if we'll be bought out by, I wouldn't be surprised if we're made really big offers, you know, and then kicked out, you know, essentially. Okay, you guys, you know, you're reaching your 50s soon.
Yeah, I know too, really young, handsome, Scottish lad.
Exactly.
Really new, proud owners, CEOs at SwissBorg. No, for sure. That'd be
So in the meantime, it's basically just continue building, continue making SwissBorg as good as it can be, and then the Series B, Series C, that'll, whatever happens in the future, that happens. But the main goal now is just to focus on building SwissBorg. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you think of it like a football player, it's like they want to be signed by Barcelona, but in the meantime, they just need to keep playing really good football, keep playing, and then hopefully Barcelona come along and buy them.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're saying about like, you know, in 10 years time, right? You remember you asked me that specific question? Like with the traction we're gaining now, plus, you know, Series B, you know, it's very, very unlikely that we disappear, right? Because we'll have, you know, a war chest. And also like for the next bear cycle, like the team is already looking into RWA, real world assets, to, you know, keep even retention even higher, right? So if we can bring in real estate that maybe gets you, I don't know, 8-9% a year, low risk, you know, you'll probably still keep capital because, you know, if there's a crash and markets crash and you go into the bonds market, or you're doing some sort of debt, like corporate or government debt, you're going to earn 3-4%, right? Why not get 9% out of real estate, right?
Yeah, because I think that's a really good thing about SwissBorg. SwissBorg isn't a crypto app; it's a wealth management app.
Yes.
So you just said there that maybe incorporating something along the lines of property, that would be an offering through the app, maybe.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. That makes sense, because the goal for SwissBorg is to manage wealth.
Yes.
It's not to go buy crypto. It's like at its core is wealth management. It just so happens that like crypto is the best place for wealth creation right now.
Yeah, and it will be on chain anyways. You'll still link to crypto, but negatively correlated, because you guys know how it is. Like I know it's tough years, man. If you don't have, for all those out there investing in crypto, like to avoid complete misery, find something that's uncorrelated, right? Because it's brutal, man. It's so brutal.
It's the good times are really good and the bad times are the worst. But
heaven to hell.
Literally
Snap.
overnight.
Overnight.
And they're drawn out as well, which makes it worse. It's not like for a year, it's 2 years, pushing 3 potentially. There's so much upset. This is getting banned. It's whatever it may be. So only the strongest survive.
Only the strongest.
It's something like us. We are just crazy enough. I think that's our problem. We are just crazy enough to show up every single day, regardless of the price, whether it's up, down, sideways, no matter what. You can be rest assured you'll see a video from us. You'll see some sort of content from us, whether it's Discord, no matter what. Because when you're coming up in crypto many years ago, there wasn't a lot of even companies like SwissBorg or like us in terms of just showing up. And that matters the most, because companies will come and go in bull cycles. They'll come around in the bull cycle, they'll disappear in the bear, maybe they'll come back again in the bull, but people lose that confidence. And it's why, again, we've had longevity so far with crypto and what we do, and why we've diversified a little bit more with online stuff and in real life stuff, because keep pushing. Keep it pushing. Patience pays is our kind of term and phrase that we have. Patience pays, and it's so true.
Pays,
It's super, super true. So,
and the markets beat the crap out of you, man.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like it's brutal. Like how fast the prices go up is also how fast you get beat up as well.
Yeah.
And so I really see, like, my first like market cycle, I love the analogy of the boxer, and plus you guys have Tyson Fury, we were talking about Irish gypsies who moved to the UK earlier, but I really compare it to boxing, as in crypto is sparring, right? Like you go into the gym, you spar. You're not with your little dumbbells. That's maybe corporate bonds, right? And a AAA corporate bond with your little dumbbells, or doing jumping jacks, right? So crypto is you go in, you put on the gloves, and you get punched in the face, right? And I think in first cycle, for those out there, never lose faith. If you don't sell or take profits, it happens to every one of us. Happened to us, I'm sure, all of us here. Well, you literally get knocked out. So you get knocked out because your early days boxer But will you be able to wake up and then go back to the gym after getting knocked out? Some people, they just literally PTSD, they're out. Yeah, they can't do it anymore. But you have to go back into the gym. The second cycle, maybe you're not going to get knocked out, but you're going to have a broken nose, maybe like a, black eye. Maybe hopefully you have all your teeth,
Yeah.
But the third cycle now, hopefully us and others watching out there, it's like a proper Tyson Fury,
Yeah.
You're bobbing, you're swaying, and you're avoiding all the traps.
Most people now say that. I think we've been quite beneficial to people who haven't lived through the cycles. This is our third cycle now. So we've seen it all. We've been up, we've been down. It's been good, bad and ugly. But now with what we do is we pass on our experience from those cycles to almost like fast track those who haven't experienced it. And look, there's only so much you can say. Some people will take it on board and they won't. Greed takes over, emotions take over. But yeah, I feel like that's how we've positioned ourselves as what we do in education is just, let's speed up the process for you, learn from our mistakes because we have lived through a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super true. It's a good analogy because it's just get beat up, just keep coming back.
Yeah, keep coming back. Yeah, keep showing up right at the gym.
Literally.
It's really important.
So one of the final questions we've got here is, so what is SwissBorg's aims and plans for the future? Can SwissBorg become a market leader not just in Europe, but further afield? Do you have any expansion plans? Is there any new regions that SwissBorg is looking to tackle? Or is it just, let's keep focusing where we are now?
Yeah, it's a tough question because I remember like the early days of blockchain is like everyone is like saying we're going to enter the US and all of, Jeremy and my brother who worked in traditional finance, they understand how complicated the US was. So against the community's will, we were saying, hey, you guys, like all the money's in the US, perhaps, but do you understand how complicated it is? Like crypto.com had to pull out of the US, right? Kraken, I think they didn't get all the licenses. Maybe now they have New York, California, but many of the exchanges, they can't even operate in the two major states where there's the most wealth, California and New York, because like, first of all, regulations are unclear or just way too strict, right? So it's just very, the US, for example, I do not see ourselves going there at any time in the future. And it's not worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it. And you see what's happening to Binance. CZ in the US, right?
Yeah.
He got really screwed over by the US. That was abusive, like power harassment there. But so that's one thing. And then like with MiCA coming in Europe, UK with FCA are really, really rigid. And so for us, it's like, rather than trying to scale into new countries, let's stay home where we're comfortable and let's sustain those markets, right? So let's make sure we always have British pound, for the UK, because the UK is a massive market, right? Like Scotland, Ireland, and England these are great, great markets. France is a great market. Switzerland is a great market. Maybe I would love to expand in Germany. So Germany, I think, is a very important market, and I think we could really do well there. So we're focusing a lot on Germany these days. Of course, getting sub-licensed in the UK for the FinProms, and then getting licensed in the UK so we can start, giving access to everyone who wants to check the website and get access to the content and not be hidden out. So I know it's a very boring answer, but I feel like the markets will consolidate, just like stock markets, right? France has the CAC 40, Switzerland has 6, in the US you have the NASDAQ, you have the New York Stock Exchange, right? I think, each region will have its own kind of regional player, I think, with all the regulatory crackdowns. Just a personal, I'm not a lawyer.
No, it makes sense, like double down on what you know.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of money in Europe, and it's easier to, the regulations, you understand them. I guess that makes sense.
What about here in Dubai? I know SwissBorg is available, but is it fully available? Is there on-ramp, off-ramps to Dubai?
Yes. So actually, thank you so much for bringing that up, because other than Germany and, of course, getting back the communication side for the UK, Dubai is the ultimate place. The UAE in general, so Abu Dhabi, Dubai makes 100% sense, because it's starting to shape to be like some sort of Switzerland 2.0, right? I mean, not there yet, of course, but it's leading that way. No politics, neutral, none of that crap that we have to be involved with. And, it's if you hustle, you can make a lot of money. And So the tax benefits breaks just like Switzerland as well. But I think Dubai is going to be a key point. You're right. And actually, one of the exchanges here, Bitways, they lost their dirham gateways. So I've been pushing hard and saying, hey guys, like, of course Europe is great, but a lot of Europeans are coming more and more to Dubai, or people in the region, not necessarily Europeans, but people from the region coming here. So yes, definitely to answer your question, 100% I want to be able to serve not just personal accounts, but I'd love to have corporate accounts in Dubai.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our friends, YouTubers and stuff like that, they need the corporate account.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
So SwissBorg is available in the UAE.
Yeah.
It's just not fully at the highest level yet.
Yeah, and we don't have local payments. So like, like in the UK where you can cash out your Bitcoin deposit or withdraw money literally within minutes, it's already on your bank account. Like we don't have that here. So it's the old Swift model.
Right.
3 to 5 business days. But
it is in the plans that is in the goals of SwissBorg to have all those boxes ticked.
Yeah, I'm pushing, like the only currencies that I want to see like added is the US dollar and the dirham. Because like in this region, most people have dual accounts. The dirham or US dollar, you can have both. So yeah, I think those are the currencies we need the most. The dirham and the US dollar. Yeah.
So finally, we have a bonus question. It's not SwissBorg related, but since most of the viewers of this channel and members of the community, they hold and like XRP, I know, what is your thoughts on XRP, and do you hold any, if you can tell us?
Well, listen, I know a lot of team members at Ripple, and they have a really strong team. So I know a few, Aurélie in particular, who's in the MENA region, and Ripple they're massive in the Middle East, man. Like in this region, they're the kings. Like they had an event, I think it was 2 months back, and the caliber of the people is really, really high. Listen, Ripple, I think is they're very institutional, right? In the sense that they need to win over the hearts of the old dog money, right?
Yeah.
The old money. So it's a different world. It's not a world that I love the community and retail side because I understand it. The institutional I don't really understand so well, but they're definitely the most, I guess, accepted across institutions. Maybe Chainlink. Was it Chainlink?
Yeah,
Ripple?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good point. And we were at an event not with XRP, but in Vegas, and the community again shows up. They're big on community.
Yeah.
But it is more retail. We don't see the institution stuff. So yeah, I agree with that.
I think the community, are they like is it the strongest community in crypto? Other than the Bitcoin maxis?
Yeah, it's up there.
Because the ETH maxis are not as vocal.
No, they're not. No, that's a good point. Unless it's anything to do with XRP and then they become more ETH maxi. If XRP is doing well, the maxis come out.
ETH maxis are too busy, like counting cash.
Yeah, true. Too busy.
Yeah. But I think one thing, just to give some credit to XRP, is one thing they did well is that they did an ICO. And that's really awesome because I think one of the factors on why the Ripple community is so strong is because they gave the opportunity for the community to invest in the very early days. So some of them, they made a lot of money. I think there's some XRP whales out there that made a lot of money. And I think when you get so much back from a project, you feel kind of like you need to redeem yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have that attachment almost.
Yeah, the attachment, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing where, ICOs have such a, bad stigma to them, but that's the way to do it. I mean, obviously we can't have all the scams of the world, but Cardano. But look at for example Cardano, right? They're still, we're expecting a lot on the tech side, right, to be delivered, and it's been stalling for a long time. But look at their community, like they're so tight, right? And that's the same. They did an ICO. Cardano was available at the earliest days, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the top 20 by market cap, if you look very carefully, most of the projects are ICOs.
Yeah.
And not VC backed. And, that goes to, we're too long of a topic, but, I think we need to go back to these community, like alpha type products where the community can join early days, because if you can bring value if Ripple or Cardano or whatever ICO from those days can help someone buy a house, the house of their dreams or something like that, they will be with you forever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that goes back to SwissBorg as well. For anyone who doesn't know, SwissBorg did an ICO back in the day,
Yeah.
which is why they have a really strong community now as well.
No, it makes sense. It's remember you said to us last time we met in Dubai, and it was almost like you give business or you give value to get value back.
Yeah.
It's very similar where it's the ICO, you're bringing value to both the company but also the end user.
Yeah.
Therefore, you always will have that
Connection.
the connection, the peace of mind. Like, it's why I'm such a big believer in Borg as well. We found it very early on in 2020. We invested, had a great run in the bull. So you're always going to have that connection from a financial standpoint because it's up there, but also as the progress continues, more things come out. It's just, the connection grows and grows and grows. And then the fact that everyone's so available at SwissBorg, we have the weekly check-ins. We come out to Dubai, we're always meeting with you, we're in Dubai. So a lot of that helps for us to then pass down to our community as well. So it's like a respect thing as well from both parts. So yeah, it's another reason why I love Borg.
Yeah.
Borg in general.
At the time of recording this video, Borg, the token, is currently 23 cents, 22 cents. So, yeah, let's see where Borg can go to in the future. There is no financial advice on this chat.
As you know.
But let's see where it goes. This is just a timestamp on Borg. We've been very vocal of Borg. That is one of the best cryptocurrencies available because of all the utility that's behind it and because of the amazing team that's behind it. The engineers and the designers at SwissBorg are some of the best in the world, in my opinion. So, yeah, when I invest in that token, I'm basically investing in those great minds and the great talent at SwissBorg that basically fuels the engine that makes SwissBorg go. So, yeah, let's see where it goes on that. But that is the final question. Alex, thanks very much.
Thanks so much.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
As always.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for sitting down for so long. I know you're busy.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Always good to be with the Scottish bros.
Yeah,
Right?
we're always going to link up in Dubai. We know that. And
For sure.
yeah, when you're back in Scotland, or when you do come to Scotland, should I say?
You come to Scotland this year or next year?
Yeah,
Look
for
after
sure.
you.
100%. We're going to celebrate this market for sure.
For sure.
So that's all. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you in the next one.
All right, cool. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. Nice.